I'm one of the most accomplished jiu-jitsu teachers, school owners around, with my UFC career, with my jiu-jitsu career, all of it combined. But I had to flip that and be like, man, it is my privilege that any one student would show up and spend 1 hour of their day with me. It is not their privilege that I'm teaching them. It is my privilege, because my hour is no different than your hour. And if you're choosing it to come learn from me, well, man, I better show up and I better give to you in a way that nobody else can give to you. That you feel like, God damn, Eliot is here and Eliot is giving his all right now in this class. And to this day, last night, when I was teaching my classes, it was everything I had. In every moment I have, I try to make sure that I'm being as skillful and looking at it from that perspective as I can.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Nick Carrier's Best You podcast. I am super fired up today to have the one and only Eliot Marshall with me today. Eliot, I just want to start off by saying thanks so much for spending the time with me today.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me on. Glad we could do it. I'm not the one and only, but I am the Eliot Marshall. I am my Eliot Marshall.
There you go. There you go. That's a better way to say it, I guess. Well, to introduce you real quick, Eliot, you're a former professional MMA fighter, and you hold black belts in karate and Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and you're also you earned a UFC contract and fought for about 4 years, and you're also the co-owner of Easton Training Center, one of Colorado's leading martial arts schools with 7 locations across the Denver area. You're the author of the Gospel of Fire and host of the Gospel of Fire podcast. And to kind of go back real quick, like I said, you own 7 locations of the Easton Training Center, or co-owner of it. And I have a brother that lives out in Denver, like I mentioned to you before. And I remember he said maybe about, I can't remember how long, maybe a year ago or 6 months ago now, that he went to a Brazilian jiu-jitsu class. And so about a week ago, I asked him which one that was, and it was Easton Training Center.
Okay, which one did you go to?
I didn't ask which location. I should have asked which location, but
Okay.
yeah. But I thought that was awesome. Definitely a small world. But the way I kind of want to start today, Eliot, is to give everybody a little bit more of a background. I know kind of starting to want to get into fighting started relatively young for you. So when did that start? Why did it start? That kind of thing.
So martial arts started from when I was 6 years old, 1986. The Karate Kid came out. I jump front kicked the house, the lamp in the house, and I broke it. And my parents were like, okay, let's just put you in karate. So I started doing karate, and I did karate. There was no jiu-jitsu back then. There was no UFC. There was none of that, right? Well, I guess there was jiu-jitsu, just not in America. So I did karate my whole life up until I was about 17, 18 years old. And then, one of my friends, we were at the national tournament for karate. And, for karate, for point sparring, you compete against your friends because you're not really hitting each other, right? You're not beating each other up. So, and he dodged my division. And I was like, man, you old man, what are you, scared? And he said, yeah, no, actually, I'm not. You should come over to my house next Friday. So I was like, word. And he was like 30 something, in his 30s, which now to me is young, but at the time that was old, right? Because I was 17. And man, he just dusted me with this jiu-jitsu stuff.
Wow.
And that I didn't even know existed. I was like, what is this? And then from that day on, I was just like, man, I got to learn this.
Okay. So then that's when you kind of started getting into jiu-jitsu. Then when was the point where you thought of like, okay, I think I actually want to turn pro with this thing. I actually want to make this thing like my thing.
Okay, so that's a side story a little bit that goes along with this. So I am an African-American Jew. So my dad's black and my mom is Jewish, and her parents, my grandparents, who I spent a ton of time with, survived the Holocaust. So a lot of difficulty growing up. With the interracial relationship where I grew up in South Jersey, it wasn't so kosher, right? My house got spray painted, the N-word, swastikas all the time. I fit in nowhere. And this martial arts place gave me a place to fit in, and then the UFC came out, and I just said it. I was like, hey, and this is still when I was unpopular, right? Like when I wasn't fitting in. I just said I was going to fight in the UFC someday. And it kind of grew from like, I just said it and people were like, oh, wow, you do that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, I was lying a little bit at the time. But then people like accepted me a little more. And then when I went to college, people like, oh, you do that jiu-jitsu stuff. And I was cool. Right. So I guess to cover up all of my insecurities, all of this fear, all of this anxiety, all of this trauma I had from my childhood of not fitting in and all of that stuff. That's why I said I was going to fight. And then, you know, I was doing jiu-jitsu and I won just about everything there was to win with jiu-jitsu. And I'm married at this point, and my wife looks at me one day. I'm getting out of the shower, and she's like, you know, this jiu-jitsu thing, it's all great, but you don't make any money. You work at a fucking bar. Let's either fight or get a job. I hate jobs. I hate working for someone. So I said, okay, cool. Called the promoter the next day, got a fight.
How old were you? How old were you when that was when you said that?
25. And I fought when I was 20. You know, I fought a couple months later.
Okay. And after that did you win that first fight?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Did you immediately feel like you had made the right decision when she kind of had that almost like, are you going to fight or are you going to get a job? Did you feel confident immediately in saying that I'm going to go fight and I'm going to continue this thing? Or was it kind of a longer debate in your head that you were a little unsure about?
No. So I always thought I was going to fight in the UFC. I wanted to be the champ, man, you know?
Yeah.
For a lot of the wrong reasons that came up later, you know. It's what ended up holding me back from what I was, you know, you can never say if you would be the champ, but I didn't give myself the opportunity to be the champ because of the things, because of my insecurities of who and where I was in life, and, you know, and the things that I was hiding.
Okay. So I feel like I was maybe gonna wait a little bit, but I don't want to wait a little bit. When you're talking about, because you mentioned insecurities now a few different times, when did you feel like you started to become aware of insecurities that maybe you held but didn't show?
That's a good question. Aware of but didn't show. Aware of and hid. High school, you know, really aware of and just buried down. College, more aware of and just kept hammering it down, fighting. And then 2016, the volcano erupts and says, hey, you can't bury this anymore.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about that kind of 2016 time. And I know that it was kind of after your fighting career had basically ended and you were having some success with business and everything like that. And then you essentially had this 4-day or 5-day stint where you really didn't sleep whatsoever. You were staying up all night, super high anxiety, all this stuff. You have a couple kids at the time. Why do you feel like it was then that the anxiety reached a point to where the volcano erupted and not any point before that?
Who knows? You know, who knows why it erupted? Like I can give you the circumstances around it. Like we had just gone on a vacation, Hawaii, 4-hour time difference, come back, jet lagged. But for some reason, the anxiety, I couldn't see that it was jet lag, right? I thought it was, what the fuck's wrong with me? And then there it went. The devil got its hook in, and the you know, that hook lasted for about 9 months. Very, very difficult time. Very difficult. Just a very difficult period of my life that I am extremely grateful for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and obviously I know that 4 or 5 day period was super tough and something you talk about a lot. But just to give everybody a little bit more kind of insight and into what that actually looked like and what that actually felt like for you, if you could just take a couple minutes and riff on that, that'd be great.
So look, man, when you say like, oh, you're up all night not sleeping, it's one thing if you're up all night with your baby and you had a baby and you're not sleeping. If you're up all night and you're partying, you have these reasons to not be sleeping. It's not, you know, you're just tired. But when you're up all night wrestling with the bear of your mind, right? You have this beast, this devil of your mind that just won't let you out and just screaming that you are not okay. That's what it's screaming at you. And you're just fighting all night long. It's exhausting. Like, it's just exhausting. And then, like, you get up, and then when the anxiety comes, like, you get like maybe a 1 or 2 hour break, but then, come 11 o'clock, you start getting paranoid that the night is coming again. And I know this all sounds very irrational, but this is what anxiety does. It doesn't make you have rational thought. And you're just like, oh my God, I'm not going to sleep again. How am I going to sleep? And then you start trying to set your day up so that you sleep well. And that's just, again, it's just like, just think about that. Don't think of a pink elephant, and there you go. And then you're just like, oh my God, pink elephant. And like all day, you're like, God, I got to sleep. I got to sleep tonight. I got to sleep tonight. I got to sleep tonight. Then you put your head on the pillow. I got to sleep. I got to sleep. I got to sleep. And you just go down the rabbit hole again. You're exhausted, but it doesn't matter. During this point, through this 9 months, man, I could take 2 prescription sleeping pills and a milligram of Xanax, and I could stay awake through that.
That's nuts.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's nuts.
That's not the tiny amount.
No. And I've heard you talk about how, like you said, you start to plan your day around trying to get sleep, and then you get anxiety around not being able to sleep while you can't sleep, and it's just obviously a terrible cycle. But to kind of backpedal a little bit, you went down that timeline of insecurities, started to maybe pop up in high school, a little bit of awareness, then more in college, and more when fighting. If you had to kind of give a message to yourself back when you started to become more and more aware of some of these insecurities, what would that message of advice have been to ensure or make it so you didn't have it all bottle up to until the volcano erupted?
I don't believe in looking back. I don't believe it had to happen that way. Like, this, like, for me to be here right now talking to you and have the opportunities and what my life has in front of me, or placed on my lap, I wouldn't want to change anything. Mm-hmm. So I don't believe in that. And I have the privilege of saying that because my life has been very lucky. There's no one in the world that's luckier than me. I don't care. You'll never convince me otherwise. And when I say lucky, look, I was lucky enough that it was just hard enough, right? Like, because this beast gets a lot of people. This beast conquers a lot of people, and it didn't conquer me. What if it was 10% harder? And everyone's like, oh, you would have done it. We don't know that, right? We don't know that. What if I suffered 10% more? So my suffering was just enough to allow me to find some power in my life. And that's just how I view it. So what would I tell myself so it didn't happen? I wouldn't tell myself anything. I would want it to happen just like it did, because those are the cards that I've been dealt.
That's awesome. I love that outlook, and I love how you reframe it in a way to where now it's your strength, and now it's part of your story, and now it's how you serve other people. And one of the things I've heard you say before is that real strength is knowing where you're weak. And so maybe to kind of I feel like it's kind of reframing a similar question to what I just asked, is like, if other people right now are starting to become aware of their insecurities, they're starting to becoming aware of where they are weak or where they lack, what's your message to them to now, okay, now that you're aware of it, this is kind of what you can go do to start to own or accept the insecurities and start moving forward with them?
I would start with, why are you here? Why do you exist in the world? Who are you? Like, it's a very simple question. Who are you? What, and can you put some definitions on yourself? And I'm kind of a Buddhist, and they don't like to do this, right? Like, to define yourself, but this I do like to do. Who are you as a human being? So that's where I would start with that question, right? Because you can start to find purpose after that. So who are you? So I know exactly who I am. Like, and it comes, and when you're asking yourself these who are you questions, that your answers must be very neutral.
What do you mean by neutral?
Okay, neutral. They're not positive or negative. So who am I? I'm a father. Until the day I die, I will be a father. After I die, I will still be those two boys' father. When they die, guess what? I'll still be their father. You can't take it away from me. It's not possible. Nothing can change that will make that not be true. I am a teacher. Forever, I will be a teacher. When I die, I'll still have been somebody's teacher, right? I'll be a student, first of my parents and then of my teacher, Amal. I will always be a student. That will never change. I am a leader, I am a fighter, and I am a survivor. So those things are all true. They will always be true, and they will always be true every single day of my life and after my life. So it's neutral. Can't tell yourself you're the best because when you're not the best, it's not true ground you're standing on, right? So during these times of struggle, the ground is unsteady. They're rocky. It's over here, it's over there, and you are just all over the place with it. You need something to plant some goddamn roots in, right? You need to anchor yourself in, know who you are, and then after that, tell yourself what you're capable of. But if you're lying to yourself about who you are, you have a major issue because then you don't know what you're capable of. You're trying to fake it, you know? So my first question that I would ask everybody is like, okay, if you were working with me, right? I would say, man, who are you? Let's you tell me. Let's work through this. Who are you piece?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I like that. I think, like you said, it serves as the foundation for who you are. And if you're lying to yourself, then you don't have that solid bedrock of a foundation. So if that is maybe one of the initial things that you kind of had to figure out when working through your insecurities, when kind of discovering that true foundation for yourself, when really discovering who you were, what was kind of next?
So like, okay, so the first thing I was a father, right? Like that's my number one. So the question becomes, how do I become the best? How do I be the best father? And a lot of times you think, oh, you got to do this for your kids or that for your kids or blah, blah, you know? And for me, the answer became I have to show them so I have two boys, what the best man looks like in the world. So now everything comes back to that. Like, am I showing the kids how to be a man? Because they're men, you know? Um, if I had a daughter, it would be, am I showing my daughter what a man should do, how a man should be, so that she can then be like, okay, that's who I got. Like, all right, I got a point at my dad, you know. And it would be my wife's job to show her how to be a strong woman in the world, you know, and not even need a man, right? Like you, and that would be part of it. And that'd be my part too, right? That would not be my part, obviously, you know, how to be independent and not settle, and you know, and it's my wife, that's her kind of role with the boys, you know.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. So to kind of stay along this, for I guess lack of better terms, this transformational journey, if you will. I know you talk about it lasting about 9 months or so, and it probably didn't happen to where it was like, oh, after 9 months it was a flip of the switch, right? But what what makes you say 9 months? You know what I mean? Like I said, it wasn't a flip of a switch at the end of 9 months. I was then good. But what did you start to feel differently that allowed you to say 9 months and not 10 months or 11 months? If that makes sense.
So I, you know, I don't know, it could have been 10 months. I couldn't tell you, but you know, I'm assuming right around 9 months, right?
Right.
It wasn't a year. At a year, I was starting to feel much better. So it was somewhere between that 9 and 12 month mark, anywhere in there. I started sleeping better. You know, I was no longer at that 9, 10 month mark, wherever that was. I was no longer taking sleeping pills every night.
Mm.
It was more sporadic, you know. And I really found some purpose, man. You know, I really found some purpose in my life.
Nice. Well, were there other positive habits maybe that you had started to implement that you feel like were allowing you to feel that purpose and be able to sleep and stuff?
So these habits happened right away. You know, these habits, you know, what I, one of the, some of the steps. So meditation, therapy, you know, I take medicine. I'm on a anti-anxiety med. So And a lot of people have shame around that. And I feel it's like this. It brings the level down just enough so that I can do all this work that I have to do, like meditate, like journal, like, show up as the best Eliot possible. And what I really did was I flipped the focus off of me. I decided, and I had to look at my life and my perspective differently, and not to say that I'm one of the most accomplished jiu-jitsu teachers, school owners around, with my UFC career, with my jiu-jitsu career, all of it combined. But I had to flip that and be like, man, it is my privilege that any one student would show up and spend 1 hour of their day with me. It is not their privilege that I'm teaching them. It is my privilege, because my hour is no different than your hour. And if you're choosing it to come learn from me, well, man, I better show up and I better give to you in a way that nobody else can give to you. That you feel like, God damn, Eliot is here and Eliot is giving his all right now in this class. And to this day, last night when I was teaching my classes, it was everything I had. In every moment I have, I try to make sure that I'm being as skillful and looking at it from that perspective as I can.
Wow, that's powerful. That is that's something I feel like I haven't heard before. But that's really taking, I feel like, a step in humility. Not that they should feel privileged to have you, but you should feel privileged to have them. I feel like that's a great paradigm shift to make.
What is the one asset or the one thing that you can never get more of?
Time.
So,
Yeah.
if you like that you want to sit here and talk to me, I better do a really skillful job right now, because I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. So in every instance that I have with another human being, I'm like, God damn, I got to make this as skillful as possible, because we don't get this back. Right? We don't get this moment back. So, and you can extrapolate this out to, like, people in their events, right? You have an event coming in the future and it's really important. And you can destroy yourself right now and then destroy yourself for that event, right? Look, you got to do all the preparation that you can for the event. But if you make it too big of a deal, if you make it too serious, you don't even know you're going to make it to the said event. Who knows what could happen? How about you do right now, in this very moment, the best you can? So whatever that is, if it's showing up with your kids, if it's showing up with your spouse, if it's doing an interview with Nick, it doesn't matter. It's the most important thing you've got.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it, dude. That was well said. Well said. Well, I want to kind of go back to the fighting stuff a little bit, because I feel like it's a powerful part of your story, and it's a powerful part of your TED Talk that you've given, where you talk about you go into this fight and you get knocked down and you're getting punched and you're getting elbowed, and you talk about how coward Eliot showed up in this moment, and how you felt and how you kind of quit, and you kind of had the referee come in and end the fight for you. Again, not in the sense of looking back and regret and I would have done it differently and I wish it would have happened differently, but in the sense of, like, maybe giving somebody else advice who might be getting ready to experience something similar. Is there anything that you could have done, somebody who is getting ready to go into a fight could do, to try to prevent or avoid having that cowardice version of themselves kind of show up in that challenging moment?
So this coward exists in all of us, right? This whatever you want to call him, he still exists in me. I have to say fuck you to him, right? So how to not show up? You surround yourself with a team. You surround yourself with a team that you really, really trust and that you would go to battle and war with. You need brothers and sisters, and you need a leader and a mentor, and you need somebody, like, for this fight thing, you need a team of coaches and a team of comrades that when you walk into battle, you are willing to drop and lay your life down for them, and they are willing to lay their lives down for you. And that's what you need in your life.
Awesome.
And I think people don't have that. I think we talk about that, but my friend Jay puts it really well, and this is kind of a harsh way to look at it. If he loves you, like for example, he loves me. So I have a fuck you list and I have a guest list. And on on my fuck you list, he wouldn't even ask you if I was right or wrong. If you were on my fuck you list, then you're on his fuck you list. Doesn't even matter. Like he could have been like, let's say, let's put a level on friendship. Let's say he and I are a 10. If he was a 9 with you, but I'm a 10. If I say fuck you to you, it's fuck you, man. And then he has what's called a guest list, where anybody that I say, yo, man, this person's really important to me, they automatically become really important to him. Now, look, you can't have many people like this in your life, right? You can't, because then, but you need people like this. You need people, and we need people that, like, it just wouldn't matter. Like I have to trust you so wholeheartedly that if you said, Elliot, I need you right now, and this is not going to be pretty, this is going to be ugly, and this is going to be dirty, and this is going to be messy, and I don't know what will happen at the end of this. You need people in your life that you just, you don't ask any questions.
Yeah.
And that's super important. And people won't do it, because we're scared. We like to say we live up to our values, but we don't actually live them.
That's a next level of friendship right there. That's for sure. Yeah. What do you have to experience with somebody to become that level of a friend with them?
First of all, I think you have to know who you are. Like you have to be a person of honor, where you don't just speak words. Where you don't just speak words. You have to really live your actions. Like, when you talk about values, if you walk in somewhere and you see, like, a company or somebody's core values, they say on the wall, man, walk right out, because they're trying to tell you what they are. They're not trying to show you. It's the same thing with children, right? So how do you build a friendship like that? Time and commitment and love to each other. I'm going to pick up my phone for a second because my friend sent me such a good quote the other day. I'm going to find it. And I'm not religious, but I think that there are some things that in religions that are really great.
Mm-hmm.
Where is it? Yeah, no, it was Proverbs 27:6. Wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses. So sometimes your friends are the ones giving you the biggest wounds, but they're true. I want to hear them, right? I want to hear them. I want you to tell me. I don't want you to tell me how great I am. That's for the people that don't know me. My friends, my real friends, be like, yo, Elliot, let's step your game up here, homie. Yeah. Let's step your game up. You're not speaking well. You're not showing up well. Those are the kinds of friends you can trust, because then they don't leave you. Then they're like, okay, let's do this together. So now so when you talk about like the fight and going to battle, like, man, with my athletes right now, we go to battle. I love it. I love going into enemy territory, because everywhere is enemy territory when you go to battle. When you go in a fight, it's you and them against the world.
Yeah. Like you said, I think, if they're willing to give you the constructive feedback, if you will, to just have that phrase, then that means if they're giving you the constructive feedback, they haven't left. They're willing to accept you with the constructive feedback. They're probably willing to help you out and help you get better, but get better through it. So yeah, that's powerful.
I have, like, for example, I have a girl, she's in camp right now, and she lives in Texas, but she comes here. She's got a husband and a daughter there, they stay in Texas. She comes here and does camp with me. And a lot of times we're kind of new to each other, but we've become very close. And she wants to do so well to show me that she's like learning and being a good student. Right. And that can hinder. And what I said to her, like halfway through camp, because you have to have a fighter. You have to take them through this mental process, right? And we have to go through this process of ourselves as well. Like you show up in camp, you feel good, you do really well the first week, you know, that maybe the first week and a half. And then camp starts to get hard. You start to get tired. And then I have to do some things to her where I, you know, like the next 2-3 weeks at camp, I'm feeding her a fresh person every round where she's getting tired and they're fresh. Right. And it's like, and she's not doing as well as she thinks she should be. And right. And I'm breaking her down. I'm breaking her down to the point where she just, where we are going, where it's like, she's like, I can't do this anymore. And I'm like, yes, you can. Yes, you can. You're going to do another one, you know? And then towards the end of camp, and we're in this end stage now, you know, hold on, let me back up a sec. So in this breakdown piece, I said to her, I was like, look, I don't want to see perfection. I want to see the mess of it all. I want to see it just crumble when shit gets as hard as possible. How are you going to act? Because I need to see that now, right? Because I need to see that now because a fight could do that to anybody, right? Fights get messy. You get your nose broken, your eye busted, you're hurt, you're tired, you're fatigued, you're worrying about your own personal safety, right? So I need to see that out of my fighters. What are you going to do when it's really, really ugly? Right. And then after we go through that really, really ugly stage, we start to build them back up. Those same people, you take one person, right, who they were struggling with, you know, the person that you were giving them in the 4th round that was kind of beating them, that shouldn't beat them. Now you give them that person for 3 rounds straight. Right. So now my fighter gets to do really well now because she's fresh. She's not beaten and broken. Right. And she gets to break the other person's confidence and build and build and build. And then the fight comes and you're just beaming with confidence, beaming, because I don't know if you know what the best performance enhancing drug is. Like the best PED you can have. Do you know what it is?
Confidence or belief in yourself?
That's right, man. Confidence. If you believe if I have a fighter or a person that believes in themselves or you could give me one that doesn't believe in themselves and takes drugs, I'll take the belief. I'll take the belief all day, every fucking day, because let's go.
I couldn't. Go ahead.
Now you just take that to life because life's a goddamn fight.
Yeah. No, I completely agree in regards to like, I think belief is definitely I like how you said the best performance enhancing drug because to give a little example of recently, I feel like this is kind of maybe a little bit of a stretch, but Tom Brady going to the Buccaneers. Like now that he's on that team, the entire team now believes they can go to the Super Bowl, and it's like a lot of the same players, but it's like now that he's on the team, they believe they can go, and so all of a sudden they start playing better as a team.
They were garbage last year. They were garbage, right? And then come on, man, you added a 43-year-old quarterback. You added a 43-year-old quarterback, and how old's Gronk? How many surgeries that motherfucker had, right? Yeah. And now they win the Super Bowl. Antonio Brown couldn't stay on the team to save his damn life, right? You know, and now they win the Super Bowl with nothing else different, everything else the same. Yeah. He added belief and confidence to that team. Yep. They were trash, and now they're the Super Bowl champs.
Yeah, I know, insane. And
I hate Tom Brady.
But like you said, the principle of belief was there.
He's the GOAT. He's the goddamn GOAT.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. That's awesome. Well, I kind of want to speak, like you said, you're a coach now, and you've always been a coach. But what is maybe the one or two most important lessons or experiences that you learned through all of your fighting and your anxiety and your insecurities that you're now able to take? Like, I learned this lesson or these 2 lessons and now apply it to my own coaching philosophy, and it really is beneficial to my students.
You must understand how you feel. You understand how you feel, because when you feel a certain way, you act a certain way. Every single person. Now, mostly like males, for example, we don't get so in touch with our feelings sometimes. I wish, we have to work on that as a whole, as a collective whole, I would say, males. But we do understand our behaviors, right? Like, I do this. So if we reverse engineer that, and say, okay, I behaved this way. Why did I behave this way? Because I feel this way. Okay. I feel this way generally because you have a need that's not getting met. And a lot of times you feel a certain way, because again, you have a need, and that sounds kind of hippy dippy. Be aware of your feelings. Well, look, your feelings are 100% on you. They're not on anybody else. Nobody can make you feel sad or happy or anything. Okay. Now you can be super aware of a need that you have that is missing, So you have to be able to now verbalize your need in a non-violent, non-aggressive way so that you can express, hey, this is my need, and if you can communicate how you feel and you can communicate what you need, now we're talking.
How do you, I was just going to say, how do you, you talked about how you feel essentially determines how you act, and then you reverse engineer. Okay, I'm acting like this, so how am I feeling, and things like that. What are some maybe other practical things that you do to coach people in regards to help them understand deeper how they feel? Is it looking at their actions? Is it I'm gonna journal?
So literally with my girls, I can just ask them how they're feeling.
Yeah, makes sense. I get that.
I can just ask them how they're feeling. And if they trust me, right? If they trust me, they tell me how they're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then we go, okay. And then you walk through it. And then once you get that out, then cool, they'll do whatever,
Yeah.
For the males, you have to go, tell me, you start with, tell me how you're behaving. And you talk about their actions. Now, look, I'm generalizing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You talk about their actions. And then, as you go through the actions, then it's, all right, why'd you act that way? Well, man, motherfucker, my girl did this. Oh, okay, hold on. Your girl might have done something, right? But how you acted and how you feel based on that, it's all on you. Nobody can do anything to you. Like when you asked me earlier today what was something that made me smile, and I just smile, and I smile because, homie, it's every day. Every day's mine. My wife can't ruin my day. I stole this from Gary Vee. I really loved it. My day is a 0 or it's a 10. It's binary. It's a 0 if somebody really, really close to me dies, right? Other than that, or gets sick. Other than that, it's a 10. It's amazing. I didn't sell a course today. Oh well. This happened. Oh well. Oh well. Okay, let's go. That's just information, right? Results are just information. If you just take results as information so that you can be more skillful throughout your days, then every day is a goddamn 10. If you take results and you let that touch your ego and you let that touch who you are, then you don't really know who you are, because there's no result that can touch what were my I ams again: father, teacher, student, leader, fighter, survivor. If I win a fight, do any of those 6 things change?
No.
If I lose a fight, do any of those 6 things change? If I have $1 million or $10, do any of those things change?
Mm-hmm.
No. So no event in my life can touch who I am. So if no event in my life touches who I am, then I'm good. Events are just information.
Yeah, no, that's powerful. That's powerful. I think that's probably one of the most honestly, that's one of the most important mindset shifts I think anybody can make. Results are just information, because good or bad. I think one of the
Everything has benefits and drawbacks.
Yep.
Right.
Very
Everything has
true.
benefits and drawbacks. And I'll give an example. I have a student, right? And she was going to compete, and she was all nervous about it. She's like, what if I win or lose? And I'm like, okay, what if you win or lose us? And I've been working with her for a while now. I was like, so your worst match, do you remember your worst match? She's like, yeah, of course, we joke about it. I was like, what was your worst match? She was like, I lost 42-2. And I was like, yep, you lost 42-2. Right? Like, worst match ever. She was like, yeah, worst match ever. And I was like, great. Okay, let's find some benefits to your worst match ever. were you and I working together yet? And she was like, no. And I was like, but we met there. Like, we became more friendly there, right? And she was like, yeah. I was like, and then you started to get closer to me, right? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, and then you became Anna's partner. And she was like, yeah. I was like, so then you got to work with me like every day, right? And she was like, yeah. And then I was like, oh, and you got way more skillful. She was like, yes. And then I was like, then that led to you actually winning a world title at your level, where she was. And she was like, yeah, I won the world title. I was like, oh, amazing. So that world title was like maybe the best day you competed. And she was like, yeah, sure. And I was like, okay, let's find some drawbacks. You won that world title, right? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, I gave you another new belt, right? You got promoted. You stepped up a level. She was like, yeah. I was like, and now you have to compete against tougher competition. And she was like, yeah. And I was like, and that makes you more nervous. And she's like, yeah. I was like, because they're better now, right? And she's like, yeah. I was like, so there's benefits to the losses and there's drawbacks to the win.
That's a powerful exercise.
Everything has benefits and drawbacks. So when something good happens, find the drawbacks. When something bad happens, find the benefits. Yeah. That way you can stay real neutral, just like your I ams. Neutral as fuck.
That's powerful. That's powerful. That's something that I've heard more and more on the podcast, honestly, about successful people is they never get too high. They never get too low. They always can stay pretty even keel. And that's like, especially, you see that with a lot of, I feel like, I mean, because they're in the public eye, but with a lot of athletes, with a lot of coaches and stuff.
Neutral. Yeah. Did you
Yeah.
watch the Last Dance documentary with Michael Jordan?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. When they were, you remember that? I don't know, it was like the episode 8 or 9 or something, when they were all like shooting from half court, making bets.
Oh, yeah.
And he was about to shoot it, and somebody asked him if he was nervous, and he was like, man, why would I be nervous about a shot I didn't even take yet?
That was good.
And that's what it is. It's just neutral, right?
Yeah.
Just neutral. No, I'm not fucking nervous, man.
Yeah.
That's just going to hold you back.
Yeah, I agree. Well, getting down here towards the end, Eliot, you like you said, it's still the coward in you the coward in all of us is always going to be there. There's always things that you're working through, but now you kind of identify it as your best friend. That's something that you constantly learn from and constantly shows up, but you're okay with it showing up. What is maybe something that you feel like you're currently working through or working on the most in regards to insecurities, all that kind of stuff?
Imposter syndrome. Why would anybody listen to me? Why would you have me on this podcast? I'm just some dude. If you could see me cry, right? Like if you could see this coward Eliot, you would not be wanting me on this podcast. There's no reason you would want to talk to me. And there's no reason that anybody would want to listen to me. And there's no reason that anybody would actually come and learn from me because, he can go, who I think of, what I think about myself sometimes, can be super unskillful.
So what's something that you're currently doing to help you through that and not let it hold you back?
So when you have imposter syndrome, you're just comparing yourself to somebody else. So I ask myself, who am I comparing myself to? Who am I being an imposter of? And then I find their drawbacks.
That's good.
Right? Like everyone has this.
Yeah.
I have it, right? So if someone's comparing themselves, if you're comparing yourself to me, yeah, give me a phone call and I will tell you, I'll put my wife on the phone and she will tell you all of my drawbacks.
That's good.
I love my wife, right? But I know all her drawbacks too. Like I know where she's going to show up like an asshole and she knows where I'm going to show up like an asshole. And we work on that, right? And then, you have to, but it's what it is.
Yeah. No, that's a powerful thing to ask because I feel like everybody experiences the imposter syndrome to a certain extent. Anytime you open freaking Instagram or anytime you open social media, I feel like there's a little bit of that. And so I think trying to examine maybe where some other
time you open the door to trying to be a more skillful human being. Once you take the red pill of like personal growth, yeah, you're going to feel like an imposter. If you think you got this, then you don't have imposter syndrome. You have an ego problem, right? Like that, there's different things,
That's a good point.
That's a good point. Well, Eliot, before the last question here, I want to acknowledge you for being so open about your story in the first place. I know that, you've been talking about this stuff for a little bit of time now, so I don't know if it ever gets easier, but for you to be able to take that leap of faith kind of in the beginning to embrace this and accept this as your story, accept this as your best friend, accept the fact that I never am going to look back and regret anything that happened. I'm just going to use it as the best situation that could have ever happened to me, and then use it as my power moving forward. I think that's super special and hard to do.
For me, it came down to one thing. I somehow got through. This demon conquers a lot of people, right? It conquers a lot of people. I was lucky enough to get through. I had great friends. I had great family. I had a great support. I was financially able to go to therapy twice a week, if that's what it was, So what does that make my job? It makes my job to be able to go out and sprinkle some of this luck dust that I've been given, and who knows why, on somebody else. Will one person listen to this podcast and be like, all right, goddamn, I can do it. I was about to give up, but goddamn, I can do it. So if I can get one person, then we had a successful day. Right? Then we had a successful day. And if we get one person that says, man, Eliot, that was amazing. You saved my life. And we get 100 people that go, oh my God, you are complete trash. Day was good, man. Day was good.
Day was a 10.
It was a 10. It was a 10.
Amen to that.
And even if I get no one today, not that they reach out and tell me or anything, right? I don't need that. Right. But even if I get no one, it's okay. Because I know what I'm shooting towards. Right. Okay, that wasn't so skillful, Eliot. You didn't do Best You podcast so well. So let's figure out how to do it. Let's figure out how to say the message a little better the next time.
Right. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, I know everybody's going to want to go learn more about you and go support you. If you're living in Denver, then go check out Easton Training Center. But on Instagram, you can find him at FireMarshal205. You make sure you go check out Gospel of Fire, his book. Make sure you go check out the Gospel of Fire podcast. And then website is at EliotMarshall.com.
EliotMarshall.com, super simple.
He's got a TED Talk out there as well. That's awesome. Listen to that about a week ago. Great stuff. Anywhere else that people should go find you and go support you?
Look, Instagram's the best way. You can find everything off Instagram. I just released a webinar on mindset. So if you want that is on my Instagram. You can click link in bio, whatever. Right. So it's there. Hit me up. I try to answer everyone, every single person that contacts me. I really, really do my best to answer them, because I believe that is human connection. There's two things I believe that make us find purpose and find our power, is what I like to call it. One is human connection, and two is we make the walk into the arena. You make that walk down the arena of life. Do not be the cheerleader or sitting on the sidelines or the Monday morning quarterback. Get off your ass, make the walk, and do it with someone and for someone else, and you'll find your power.
That's powerful stuff. Well, last question, Eliot, is I think that getting closer to the best version of yourself is a constant journey. I think we're all always chasing down that best version. And I also think it's a unique journey. I think the way that I'm going to get closer to the best version of myself is a little bit different than the way that you're going to get closer to the best version of yourself. So for you personally, if there are 3 things that you can currently do, or 3 things that you can currently work on to get closer to that best Eliot Marshall that you could possibly be, then what are those 3 things that you could currently do or currently work on?
So, man, I wake up every morning and I meditate. It's the first thing I do. I go to the bathroom, but then I meditate. And then after I meditate, I have gratitude time. Right? I thank the universe for everything in my life, for the good and the bad. It's like prayer, right? I talk to God. I don't know what God is, but I talk to God. And then I make some agreements with myself. I make the 4 agreements, right? I will try to be impeccable with my word. I will not take anything personally. I will not make any assumptions, and I will look for the most skillful action always. And then after those, I just say, hey, I say who I am every single day. And then I just say, Eliot, right now, today, baby, you're enough. Let's go.
Boom. Mic drop right there. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, those are 3 great things, Eliot. Awesome today. I appreciate you. It was a privilege to spend the time with you today, and then that's all we got, man.
It was my privilege, man. It was my privilege that anybody would want to talk to me for 5 minutes or 45 minutes, whatever this was.